All right. Testing, testing, testing. We should be live. I just figured out pretty much right before I went live that we do not have the setup, like the little one minute timer before the stream starts set up. So we're just kind of going right into it. But hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. How is everybody doing so far? We should be live. Hopefully. Yes. Should be live. Audio should be good. Music should be playing. Just making sure everything is how it should be. Still getting used to having this new pewter. Did I miss y'all? I missed y'all quite a bit, actually. It's been a while since we've actually been live on the channel, so it's nice to be back. Welcome, welcome. Tons of stupid ads. Yeah, I unfortunately cannot control those. Yeah, this is Tropical Storm Chantal. We actually just got a fresh new update on this storm. A little bit of a push to the east on the center of circulation. And also, as you can see, we are now sitting at 45 mile per hour wind speeds with this storm, with potential for some wind gusts over 55 miles per hour in this storm currently. You missed the trolling a little bit. Yeah, it has been a little bit. Yeah, how's everybody doing so far this afternoon, Saturday? Did everybody enjoy their 4th of July celebrations? Where is this? This is just to the south. You can see South Carolina's right there. Hopefully you know that that's South Carolina and that's North Carolina. Although not everybody is a geography expert, so I understand. Will I join your Discord? Probably not. No music. There's music playing. It's just a little bit lower than it usually is. But yeah, so this is one more thing. When I press play on this, does it make my camera go blurry anymore? I changed my camera to a capture card. So now instead of it being 720p, the camera should be coming in at 4K. Like, it doesn't make it blurry at all when I press play. Like, not a little bit. Caught in 4K for the first time ever. How's my voice? My voice is doing pretty darn good. Not even a little bit. Awesome. I look very lifelike. Yay. Might be a little bit. Okay. All right. Cool. But yeah, as you can see, we do have a lot of cold cloud tops on Tropical Storm Chantal right now. You see those reds going into the blacks there. That's how cold the thunderstorm tops are. If we come over here to our 3D view, you can see the colder the cloud tops are, typically the taller they are. This is obviously not a perfect representation of a 3D perspective of this storm, but overall, we are seeing a pretty healthy tropical system. It is kind of latched on to a frontal boundary right now. It's still dealing with a decent amount of shear, which is why you see most of our convection is actually pushed off to the east of our center of circulation, which is right back over here. This is our latest update. As of 1 p.m. So it literally just came in as we started the stream. As you guys can see, our wind speed is around 45 miles per hour. So the storm is strengthening. You know, the initial expectations for this storm was to make landfall at around 40 to 45 mile per hour winds. And as you can see, it's already kind of overperforming that a little bit. So we are starting to see this storm strengthen. And potentially by the time it gets to inland, we could be talking about near landfall, somewhere between Charleston and Myrtle Beach. And we're talking about anywhere from 50 mile per hour sustained winds to max wind gusts of 65 miles per hour. So we're starting to get into, where things are going to be getting a little bit more dangerous than we expected. 65 mile per hour wind gusts, that is, a decent amount of wind that can cause a decent amount of power outages. And as you can see, we already have over here in the yellow tropical storm warnings out for Wilmington all the way down into Myrtle Beach. Carolina Forest, North Myrtle Beach, Charlotte, Georgetown, as well, with some tropical storm watches down here near Charleston, South Carolina. So we are still expecting this thing to make landfall in South Carolina, but you know, the center of pressure has been trying to reorganize a little bit further to the east. So let me make sure I have this up still in the background. Yes, I do. So I just do this, bring that down. And then we'll come over here to our latest Hurricane Hunter plane. It is out there right now, and it's been taking a couple of pressure measurements here. And you can see, you know, from this little dot, this orange dot, 1008 millibars, all the way to this one up to here. You can see that our pressure has dropped 1 millibar, and also quite the shift to the east of where our center of circulation is now located. We're also seeing some wind barbs out there, at least at flight level wind speeds of around 50 knots on the storm right now. And according to the latest data, potential surface winds are sitting at around 40 to 45 knots on average, which is why they have upgraded this to a 45 mile per hour storm on our latest update here. So again, we're not really talking about anything super powerful, but you know, with the capability of this thing being around 50 to 55 miles per hour as it makes landfall, with those max wind gusts between anywhere from 65 to 70 miles per hour, we can definitely see some widespread power outages. Also expecting a little bit of a flash flooding risk out here as well. You can see from Charleston to Wilmington, we're going to be talking about a slight risk for some flooding. Nothing like we're seeing in Texas, thankfully, but definitely some smaller chances there for some flooding associated with this. Also, our rip currents are going to be pretty dangerous out here. As you can see, we do have a high risk out here for those rip currents, all the way really from parts of Florida through the Georgia coast, going into South Carolina coast, all the way up there into parts of the North Carolina coast as well, with a moderate risk for that. That's a 2 out of 3 there in the yellow, all the way up into Virginia Beach as well. So a lot of things to look out for in terms of coastal impacts with the wind. Maybe a little bit of storm surge can happen. We don't have any you know, big time storm surge forecast, but we are looking at, you know, anywhere from Edisto Beach here in South Carolina going all the way up to Surf City, North Carolina. We could see anywhere from 1 to 2, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. So if you're in one of those houses that are near the beach, or you're for some reason planning to go to the beach over the next couple of days, starting today going into tomorrow, we're gonna start to see that storm surge pile up a little bit. 1 to 2 feet there to the South Santee River, and then 1 to 3 feet all the way up into Surf City, North Carolina. So we're definitely going to see a little bit of storm surge, a little bit of beach erosion, and it's going to be dangerous to be on the beach or in the water just kind of in general. So again, you really don't want to be at the beaches over the next couple of days. I think that's going to be the biggest risk there, and that's probably where our highest winds are also going to be. Another thing that I want to do is just kind of read the latest forecast discussion here, just to kind of give you guys a rundown of what the National Hurricane Center is thinking before we go kind of into a little bit more of an in-depth forecast of our tropical system here. So satellite images suggest that Chantal has been organizing and gaining strength. The storm is still asymmetric though. So that's that. If we come over here, what they mean by asymmetric is our center of circulation is back down in this region right there. But you can see most of our convection is actually on the eastern side of that center of circulation, which is why they're saying it's a little bit lopsided. And the thing that's causing that is we do have an upper level low nearby that is bringing some shear, upper level shear into the storm right now. So that is what is causing that convection to kind of be pushed off on the right side of the storm. So a lot of the rain with this storm is actually probably going to be moving into areas like Wilmington, Jacksonville, where most of our wind will be relegated kind of on the right side of our center of circulation, which is why our tropical storm warnings are from Myrtle Beach to Wilmington, but don't quite extend to Charleston, as the left side of the storm is probably not going to be as strong as the right side of the storm. But still, I'd be weather aware out over there near Charleston. Also not expecting too big of a storm surge deal there in Charleston either. So that's what they mean by it's a little bit asymmetrical. With most of the associated showers and thunderstorms located near and to the east of the center, just like we were just talking about. The hurricane hunters have recently found that the pressures inside of the storm is 1007 millibars. The plane has yet to sample the area of strong thunderstorms where the highest winds are likely occurring. The initial intensity is set at 35 knots for now. So they're saying because this plane hasn't really gone through some of our strongest convection, they are you know, well, that was, I think that was a while ago. I don't think that's accurate. Yeah, I think this isn't a new forecast discussion. As you can see, they say at 40 mile per hour there. It has changed to 45 miles per hour. So we're still waiting for the newest forecast discussion. So I think that's a little bit older data there. But regardless, the key messages here is that tropical storms conditions are expected in the warning area beginning this evening and continuing through Sunday morning. Heavy rainfall across coastal Carolinas will cause some flash flooding through Monday. Associated to scattered flash flooding could occur within more urbanized areas in the coastal plain of the Carolinas. And Chantal is expected to bring life-threatening surf and rip currents along the coast in northeastern Florida to the mid-Atlantic states during the next couple of days. Beachgoers should heed the advice of lifeguards and local officials. It's not very low. Yeah, the pressure is really not that low on the storm. 1,006 millibars is definitely on the, it is in the average range of what we do expect for a tropical storm to have in terms of low pressures. But in terms of, in comparison to a hurricane would have, a lot more of that or a lot lower pressure. Another thing that this storm is dealing with that is, keeping it from strengthening to a hurricane here is we're also dealing with a decent amount of dry air on the western side of the storm. You can really see that here in our water vapor imagery. All these yellows and these oranges here on the western side are kind of coming over that center of pressure there. So it's not only just the shear that's keeping the storm lopsided, it is also that dry air that is filtering in on the eastern side of Tropical Storm Chantal right now. Slow moving. Yeah. It's I mean, I wouldn't say it's like super duper slow. I mean, it's moving. They usually have this speed there. Let me see if we can get like the latest update on that. There. It should be on the beginning. Yeah. North at 3. Okay. Yeah, that is slow. It's almost stationary. So it's really not moving that fast at all. So yeah, I agree. Very slow moving storm. I mean, to be fair, this thing is like what? About 100 miles off of the coast. So it's actually pretty close to the coast, but it's not expected to make landfall until tomorrow early morning at around 7 a.m. Is it heading towards eastern North Carolina? It is. When we actually have parts of North Carolina over here near like Charlotte and Wilmington, near the coast, so not like actually in the area, but on the coast of those areas are in a tropical storm warning. So if you live more close to the coast rather than close to like the inner portions of North Carolina here in the southern portion on the East Coast, would definitely be prepared for some pretty heavy rain and also maybe even a small chance for tornadoes. Definitely can't rule out some tornadoes or some water spouts that transition into tornadoes as they go over land here with this storm as well. We always got to watch out for that threat when we have a tropical system. I don't think that threat is very elevated. Yeah, we're talking about a 2% tornado chance right now over here near Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. So not a super elevated tornado threat by any means, but definitely something to keep an eye on as the storm comes through. What are the chances that this makes it up to the Atlantic Canada? Yeah, let's look at our latest hurricane models while we are talking about it. So here is the H-Wharf model, and pushing this off into the future. This is the latest 12Z model. You can see it kind of goes pretty far inland and then eventually kind of moves up to the north and east. Doesn't really reform. We might get a subtropical low out over here. Probably going to still be dealing with some wind and some thunderstorm capabilities, but it seems like at least the H-Wharf model kind of brings this south of like the Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then kind of maybe like could get some extra rain out of this storm near Yarmouth and Halifax over here in Nova Scotia with this thing. One thing I want to do here is also compare this to the H-Mon model. Yeah. Brings it pretty far inland there. Kind of goes up to the north. Yeah, the H-Mon model just kind of has it really falling apart as it goes further up to north. So we're not really expecting any decent impact of this storm other than at the coast. The H-Mon model, believe it or not, has this thing making landfall at around 1 a.m. tonight. So a little bit earlier than what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting there. And let's come over to the H Wharf model. Yeah, this one also has it making landfall at around 1 a.m. So the latest National Hurricane Center is saying around 7 a.m. But our latest hurricane model runs that have just come in here are saying that probably more at around 1 a.m. So take that with a grain of salt. Somewhere between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. It's going to be an early morning landfall. This is going to be making landfall. The wind as well associated with this storm. Let's go ahead and take off our tropical weather things right now, just so we can see this a little bit better. And let's kind of focus on where some of our strongest wind is going to be, at least according to what our models are saying here. So yeah, it looks like our strongest wind is, it's definitely just going to be along the coast. I mean, we're really not talking about, at least from the H Wharf model, a very strong storm at all. But it's kind of already seems to be underperforming. You can see, like, when we bring it back to where it is right now, it doesn't really have any peak winds of really over that 45 miles per hour. And that's 3 hours in advance. And so it might be a little bit behind in terms of the intensity. So it looks like that model is already kind of wrong. Wouldn't put too much stock into that. This one seems to be maybe a little bit closer to accurate. But this is 6 hours in the future. Yeah, it seems like both of our models at this point are kind of underestimating the strength, at least of the winds, with this storm right now. Maybe it'll pick up speed. Yeah, definitely should. I mean, it's only 100 miles out. Can I use weather-wise? No. I don't know why you... I mean, Radar Omega is just better when it comes to tropical weather monitoring. They got the models. They got the 3D satellite. I really enjoy the 3D satellite. Won't be able to live in the Bay of Fundy side of Nova Scotia. Yeah. Hopefully this just doesn't become a super soaker and keeps moving fast. Well, if it's slow moving by the time it gets to the coast, which it shouldn't be, as it gets more further over land, it's going to be moving, picking up speed quite a bit. You can see these, lines get a little bit further apart here, meaning that we're probably going to see this thing start to rocket off to the north and east as it really starts to interact with that trough, weakens, and then kind of gets slungshot out of the way. But yeah, I mean, we are going to have to monitor for some flooding rain. We can come over here to our radar and just kind of look at what our latest radar is saying in terms of the rain that is coming. And yeah, I mean, you can see there's a decent little blob of some precipitation here. So got to keep an eye on those flash flood forecasts here. Can't really keep an eye on it with the, I don't think with the, yeah, it looks like the HRRR is actually getting kind of a better picture as some of our hurricane models are, which is interesting. Let me go back over to our 16Z. I do want to see how much rain we can have pile up onto the coast here. Right there. Yeah, I mean, over the course of this thing making it to land, you can see that the HRRR at least is calling for anywhere from like 4 to 5 inches there near Myrtle Beach. That would cause some flooding. There, 2 to 3 inches over here near Whiteville. So yeah, like anywhere from like, 4 to, just depends on where that, main core of the rain comes in. If it's really dry out over here, that main core of the rain will be a little bit further to the east towards Wilmington. As of right now, we're not talking about, really flash flood emergency territory with any of these numbers, but just got to keep an eye on it. See how things change over time. Let's check the NAMS forecast, at least just for like the rainfall, the precipitation amounts. The NAM goes crazy. I don't think that is very accurate there. That doesn't make much sense. Let's check the GFS. Yeah, the GFS has around, 2 to 3 inches across. So I would take a mixture between the HRRR and the GFS and say, anywhere from like 2 to 4 inches is going to be possible really in this area right here. That's going to probably be our main corridor of any flooding rain chances. But it doesn't really seem like we're going to be getting too high of accumulation, at least right now, looking at the models. Hello, hello, welcome. Is there a chance if this, it's not a hurricane, it's a tropical storm, makes a wrong, make what? Makes a wrong to when it passes? Not really sure what your question is there, George Plays. You live in Little River just above North Myrtle Beach. Had a brief downpour this morning. Nothing happening right now. Yeah, that's one thing I will do. I will use weather-wise just so we can switch over to radar if needed. Yeah, this is what the storm looks like on weather-wise right now. Let's see. Go over to radar. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. Really, for most of the day today, we're just going to have these kind of weak scattered showers. Probably not really expecting much of a severe weather threat out of any of those. But it really should start to pick up. I would say the conditions are going to start to worsen as we go into overnight into the early morning periods when that wind starts to pick up, as the heavier rain starts to arrive as well. But you can see if we come over and switch over to our radar back over here and get an understanding of where of how much rain is in, near where the center of pressure is with the storm, there's really not much. The most of that rain is going to be on the northeastern quadrant of this storm. You can see that we do have a decent pocket of rain there that will be moving in and will probably increase in intensity, and the amount of reds that we see on this, the higher amounts of rainfall coming out of the sky with this little blob here should increase as it gets closer to shore. So, if you live in Myrtle Beach, Southport, Wilmington, you're probably going to get the main core of the rain, but we can see, 2 to 3 inches as far north as like Jacksonville and Beaufort, just depending on where some of these storms actually end up setting up as this thing makes landfall. But I mean, just looking at this radar here, you can get a really good picture of just how disorganized the center of our, tropical system is right now. Oh, I was looking at the wrong scene. I don't know why that happened. Oh, I forgot to do that. Shoot. There we go. Sorry. But yeah, as you can see on radar, you can barely see anything in terms of precipitation there on the western side, like I was saying. But then we come back over here to the Southport radar over in North Carolina. You can see a lot heavier rain further off to the east away from our center. And so that's going to be what's mainly causing our flooding issues out over there, is that little pocket of rain where we are seeing this little red blob on satellite. That is that convection that is slowly making it up to the north. Am I going to cover the central Texas flooding at all? I mean, it's the reason why like nobody goes live to cover that, because it's mainly like the main thing that I can do to help, or I can't really do much to help. The flooding has already happened. We got a flash flood emergency out here. It's already in progress. I can't really say much. Any story that I could share on this is probably copyrighted. So I couldn't really show you guys many pictures on the ground of what's happening out here. So mainly we would just be sitting here, maybe listening to it happen in real time, but I'm more in the interest of prevention of loss of life, rather than just telling everybody how bad it is. Hope everyone is having a safe and happy 4th weekend. I hope so. Yeah, I hope everybody is having has had a good and fun 4th of July. I personally had an awesome 4th of July. I spent it with family, celebrated my little brother's birthday, belated birthday. We ate a little steak dinner with some mushrooms. It was really good. And the fireworks were crazy, really loud. It's a terrible tragedy in Texas. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. There was, there's this big argument of whether or not the warning came out on it. And there was warning from the NWS. But I think what a lot of people are complaining about, that there was no warning, is that broadcast media really didn't do a good job of orchestrating these messages, myself included. I mean, so it just didn't really show up on the models until about 12 hours before the event. And even then, it was only a couple of models showing it. So, as a forecaster, you look at that and you go, well, that doesn't seem right. And you usually don't talk about it or take it too serious when it's an outlier. It was just one of those rare cases where a couple of outlier models were the right ones rather than the average. Spent your 4th at work? No way. That's crazy. There's an enhanced risk today. Yeah, there is. We have an enhanced risk. We'll go over to weather-wise for that one. there's an enhanced risk of severe weather out over in parts of Montana, going into Wyoming and parts of South Dakota. This is going to be mainly a wind and hail threat today. We have a 2% for tornadoes. The tornado risk is pretty darn low, but we do have like a little 15% or and 30% wind risk and a hail risk as well. So definitely could get some significant winds out there. Some wind damage will be possible, but no, I probably will not be live to cover that, as the tornado risk is very low. And also, it's a very unpopulated region. You can look at the composite. There's really not much happening right now. We can go kind of look at the models, though. See what's happening. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be firing over there near Billings by around 4 to 5 p.m. And it pretty much instantly turns into a line of thunderstorms. So yeah, maybe some brief tornadoes could be possible, but it really does seem like the main threat is going to be those damaging winds. And then it kind of fizzles by 2 a.m. Tornado warning in Canada, apparently. Little uptrendy there on this storm. Yeah. Now you need steak and mushrooms. Yeah, you need to make it. I found this really cool like compound butter at Publix with some herbs in it. My fingers still smell like it. It's very strong flavor, but mixing that in with the mushrooms and adding a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and just a little bit of soy sauce and letting that saute for about 10 minutes is really good. Very, very tasty. Oh yeah. Yeah, just letting you guys know. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, probably lose monetization on this video, but I don't really care. A big study came out about the Southern Meridional Oscillating Circulation, I think is what it's called, or the SMOC. And it's literally like a study that basically says that we have passed the point of no return in terms of climate change. Like nothing we can do can now stop it. So that's fun. Could this storm hit 60 miles per hour? I think it could, technically speaking. It has a lot to overcome. Again, if we come over here to our lower level, see there's a lot of dry air impacting this storm right now, but it might be trying to develop a core back over here. If that does happen and it reorganizes the low pressure system a little bit further to the east where we have a little bit more moisture, a little bit stronger convection, yeah, I could see this thing making a run for 60 mile per hour. Just sustained gusts, maybe max wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour being possible. Earth will be okay? No. Nope. Yeah, so essentially, it's just like a brief explanation. That Southern Meridional Oscillation Current is a massive, current. And it is starting to reverse. We're already seeing signs that it's already reversing. And what happens is typically it takes the CO2 out of the atmosphere and then brings that to the bottom of the ocean. But what's happening is that's reversing. So the bottom of the ocean is going to start to upwell over the next decade or so, bringing that CO2 up to the surface and then releasing it back into the atmosphere. And that could double our CO2 content in the atmosphere that we already have. So we're talking about 800 ppm of CO2 potentially by 2100, which would mean 5 ppm a day, parts per million CO2. We release about 5 ppm a year, which we release about 2 to 3 ppm. So even if we stopped emitting right now, that the Southern Meridional Oscillation circulation would already be pumping out more CO2 than we did. Just with human activities. So even if you stop, emitting CO2, that won't make a difference now. So that was not a fun study to read. Summer has been quite cold here in Finland. Nice. It has been freaking boiling down here. We've been boiling. Live in South Carolina, but in Mount Pleasant. You work in Rack Room Shoes in the town center. Let me see where Mount Pleasant, South Carolina is. Yeah, so you're in the western side of this. You know, you're gonna have quite the experience with this storm. That center's the storm's gonna come pretty close to you. But as we are seeing here on weather-wise, the western portion of our, circulation really doesn't really have much rain in it, and that might not improve as it gets closer to landfall. Maybe a little bit more of an organization to our center, but maybe a little bit more precipitation as it gets closer. But it's really not going to feel like much other than that wind. The wind will definitely still be there, just not a whole lot of precipitation. It would just kind of feel like it, potentially a strong gale wind with periods of intermittent rain. But I mean, we could be talking about anywhere, in my opinion, from 50 to 60 mile per hour wind speeds by the time this thing makes landfall. I don't think it's going to get to hurricane strength, but it will. I do think the tropical storm now, my opinion is that the tropical storm will be powerful enough to cause a decent amount of power outages. So we're not just talking about a bird fart tropical system anymore. I mean, if it made landfall at like 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, that's not really going to do much. It's not going to really cause many power outages. But once you get up into that 50 mile per hour sustained winds with 60 mile per hour wind gusts, then you're talking about, a severe thunderstorm warning type conditions for over, a couple of hours, which will be definitely enough to knock out some power, especially in the areas where we're going to be seeing heavier rain on the eastern side of this tropical system. How'd the forecasting get Texas so wrong? It just wasn't, all the models didn't agree on it. That's the thing. It's hard to come to a consensus. Once that happens, when you have a bunch of different models saying different things, it's hard to, know for certain what's going to happen. It was forecasted, I think, 6 inches of rain. And then we had like an MCD that was or a mesoscale discussion that was issued that said, that 12 inches could be possible, but that was like hours before the event, unless broadcast, like the thing is why the warning didn't get out is because broadcast 3 hours in advance is not enough time. Broadcast media doesn't have enough time to reach people. People are already doing something. It's a holiday weekend, right? And so people are already outside. They're not looking at their TVs. They're not really even paying attention to their phone. Like if I'm at a barbecue, I usually have my phone on do not disturb. So even if I do get notifications, I wouldn't even get it. So that was the main problem, is that when we knew something really bad was going to happen, the broadcast media just didn't have enough time to push out notifications, or and people were distracted. So it was an unfortunately impossible scenario to get the warning out. And as you can see, when that happens, it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, unfortunately, those are usually the biggest loss of life events, because people do not evacuate and they do not know what's coming. Yes, that's true, Lynx. "29 years ago, an Independence movie in the Myrtle Beach Theater." All right. Whatever forecast, Canadian severe weather, probably not. It's difficult enough, because especially as we go into like June, July, where it's like, most active in Canada, it's difficult enough to keep track of just these hurricanes. And then, you got severe weather back over here, it's hard to keep all of that in one forecast. And, I know Canada, you guys do have people out there that do forecasts for you guys. So it's just not, they're not very popular, but that's the thing. You got to find them. And once you find them, you got to share the word that they exist and help them grow. Because I know for a fact there are people that make Canadian forecasts and even do live coverage up there, like instant weather. So the people saying we should be happy for a cold summer. It depends on what you prefer. If you like, if you like to have, some heat every now and then, yeah. Cold. Cold summer could probably sucks. If that means there's a cold winter coming, then that might not be good. Yeah, it's one thing I keep learning over and over about this tropical storm. I keep trying, but it does seem like the people that don't really care too much about this tropical storm, at least so far. Maybe they'd care about it today. I don't know. We'll find out. But it is a little bit stronger than it was expected. So hopefully they do start. I mean, 65 mile per hour max gust as this thing makes landfall. You're going to feel that. And that's going to cause a decent amount of power outages. And, you know, there is a chance that if the, you know, circulation that is back in near the convection becomes our new area of stronger low pressure, that could mean that this storm could be a little bit stronger as it makes landfall. It's not a weak tropical. It's not going to be a weak tropical storm, I don't think, as it makes landfall. It's battling a lot of conditions. There is still certainly a chance that it kind of falls apart before it gets to land, but you can see it's got a lot of healthy convection, and that's going to help it carry that threat all the way into land. Thanks for covering this. Yeah, no problem. No problem. We're here to answer any questions that you guys have. We live in Alaska, low 60s in the summer. Perfect. No AC needed. Didn't y'all get up to like 80 degrees temperatures not too long ago? Hopefully that wasn't for y'all's area, because 80 degrees with no AC kind of sucks. Why is the storm eye in the center? Wait, what? Why is the storm eye in the center when the rotation is on the bottom left? So the center of circulation, let me see if I can get a better view of, hold on, let me take off this really quick. Thank you, Silver Steel, for the 10. I appreciate that. You're all about tropical weather and you care about it. Thank you for streaming. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Hopefully this is helping answer some questions out there. Let me get the geo color if we got it. I guess we can do visible blue. Yeah, if we come over here to visible blue, you can see there's our center of circulation. So it's a little bit, you know, when you look at the actual lower level clouds, you can see it a lot better, right? Then, you know, just kind of focusing on where the most convection is. Obviously, the most convection is back over here, but we do have that drier air and that wind shear kind of pushing that convection off to the east. So that's what we would expect to see. And you can definitely, as you switch over to visible satellite, you can definitely see where the center of that swirl is right now. But some people are theorizing that there could be, you know, some circulation back over here. But, you know, you typically don't see that happen. But there is a decent amount of convection up there. Sometimes when that does happen, you can get you know, especially with the wind shear kind of scraping on top of the storm, you can get a displaced center. But I mean, you can still pretty clearly see it right here in this area, and I think that's where they have, yeah, you can see that latest update puts that right there in the center of that swirl. Yeah, there is no eye, yeah. You're in the UK? Yeah, the UK is a crazy... You guys are going through something crazy over there. You guys have been really hot out over into Europe and parts of the UK. You guys have a big problem over here in the Mediterranean Sea. You guys are like 6 to 7. 6 to 7. Forget... deviations. I forget what the proper term is for it, but essentially it is the Mediterranean Sea is way above average in terms of its temperatures, and yeah, that's gonna have huge climate impacts for you guys. Looks like an eye from a radar image. Yeah, that's usually not the best way. Let's go check out on weather-wise. I don't think. Yeah, I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, that is what a lot of people are theorizing, that where our, you know, a center of circulation may be trying to establish. But we haven't had any. I mean, the planes were just in there, and they still think our center of circulation is back over here. And you know, if you're looking at the satellite view, it's kind of hard to disagree on that. What are the differences between tropical and subtropical storms? Does it have something to do with where the high winds are located? It has to do with that a little bit, or not really that, but it's a lot to do with like how warm the core of the storm is, and also, you know, where it is kind of located, you know, with along a frontal boundary as well. You know, if it's pretty obvious that a lot of the convection is happening on the frontal boundary itself and not because of much of a center of, you know, a warmer air core to the storm. Usually they put that as a subtropical storm. And also, you know, you'll have like a lot of dry air where the center of the storm is, with the convection really displaced further off to the east than what we're seeing here. And yeah, you know, if you got a warm core center of circulation, then they usually change that designation to tropical, to a tropical storm. But when it's right on the boundary, it's usually pretty hard to determine whether what it is or not, subtropical or tropical, unless you have a plane fly through there. And thankfully, I think we still have a plane flying through there right now. Let me see if they turned around at all, or if that was the end of the mission. Yeah, this is the end of the mission here. Let me see if there's another. Yeah. Our latest mission determined that our center of circulation is a little bit further to the east, northeast than where it was last time. So you see our last time was down here, 1008 millibars, and then further up to the north and east, that's where our latest measurement was 1007 there. Some pretty decent wind barbs on it too. So the storm is definitely not, you know, super weak. You know, it's got some strength to it. I wouldn't underestimate it. The alcohol, wait, what? Oh, from the 4th of July. Yeah. Well, it's also hot out there. A lot of people spend a lot of times outdoors during the 4th of July. Might go chase this just in case it's close to home. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, if you're going to chase like your first tropical system, this is a good one to start off with. It'll be just enough to, you know, get that adrenaline pumping, but not really enough to scare the crap out of you. Did I see the watches for Virginia? No, I do not. Did they just issue those? I know we have rip current risks all the way up in towards Norfolk Beach, a moderate. But I don't think we have any tropical. Yeah, we don't have any tropical storm watches or anything for Virginia. How far inland will that go? Well, as you can see from our little projected path here, potentially all the way up there towards Lumberton and Wilson, but it really won't be that too intense up there. It'll be just kind of breezy, you know, 35-mile-per-hour winds with some 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and it's probably going to stay like that for a while. But I'm assuming it's going to transition more into a subtropical storm as it gets further off to the north and east, or a subtropical depression. Will Reedsville, Georgia get rain thrown at us? Probably. At some point, there might be rain close by. I don't think it's gonna be crazy. I think isn't Reedsville like on eastern Georgia somewhere? Let me see. Yeah, you guys are already getting some rain thrown at you from it. At least some moisture on the outside is kind of making it to you guys, so it's already a little bit rainy over there. And that is with moisture that is associated with our tropical storm. So I would think this tropical storm would head towards the Carolinas and then Virginia because of the direction. Well, yeah, I mean, it is going to technically, if we come over here to our future radar, you can tell that we're definitely expecting some rain to come into Virginia, mostly like over here near like Hickory, Sparta, Galax, Roanoke, and Lynchburg up there. And there's going to be some rain and some windy conditions. But by the time we get into about like the 7th, early morning in the 7th, a lot of that starts to dissipate. So maybe you could see like a little bit of thunderstorm activity near Virginia Beach going into the 7th at 7 p.m. But that really shouldn't be much. Definitely could be still pretty gusty as that pushes off to the east there. Definitely going to be a subtropical low as that pushes just south, potentially of Long Island. But again, we have a little bit of model disagreement. The other model, the HMON model, has this thing kind of just falling apart as it moves further up to the north, and it has a little bit more of a northerly trajectory. So there's a little bit of disagreement still on where this thing goes after landfall, but generally seems like, you know, this thing makes landfall sometime at around 4 a.m. on the 6th, between 1 and 4 a.m. on the 6th, and then that rain pushes inland, potentially all the way up into Charlotte, Galax, and Roanoke there in Virginia and Charlotte, associated with, you know, those elevated winds as well, potentially 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. I think most of our biggest impacts, though, will probably be on the shore here at Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. But got to watch out. You know, this thing does make a close approach to the Appalachian Mountains. Got to watch out for some orographical lift problems, which means a little bit more rain and maybe a little bit higher rainfall amounts than what is being forecasted up there. So I would keep an eye on that as well, especially since those areas are still, believe it or not, still recovering from Helene. Charleston seems to flood even in a fog conditions. Really? I don't think that. It's like an over exaggeration, but I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, we've actually covered Charleston a couple of times last year in, you know, with tropical season, and you guys did flood. I think both times that you guys had a close approach. But yeah, I mean, there's some rain out over there right now, but it kind of seems like it's going to be pretty spotty for the Charleston area. But if we come back over to that model run over here from the HWRF, you can see that eventually some rain will try to make it there. But again, you guys are still kind of on the dry side. Really not expecting much of an issue there for Charleston, but you could get maybe, you know, there could be a little bit stronger rain than what this model is saying, making into Charleston, and maybe could see some small flooding issues. But you can see that main core of where our precipitation is going to be making, or is going to be making landfall, is really from like Georgetown towards Myrtle Beach and north of Myrtle Beach, and then eventually making it over there towards Charlotte. That, I would say, would be our biggest chance for some flooding, and maybe even a small tornado chance up there as well. Is my voice healed? It should be. About as healed as it can be, I think. I mean, I've given it quite ample time. Your audio keeps going up randomly for a second, then going back to normal. It's happened like 5 times now. Huh. Anybody else having that problem? Just making sure it's not like a YouTube thing or like something happening on my end. How do I feel about the 20 children? Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a tragedy. It's an absolute tragedy. I mean, it was just, you know, everybody saying it was forecasted great. It was not forecasted great. There just wasn't enough time to get the warning out. And, you know, obviously, the warning didn't get out, and a lot of people were affected, and it was a little bit of a failure on the weather communication side. But again, you know, models aren't 100% accurate, unfortunately, and we're going to get snuck up on this, especially, you know, as we get into those higher rainfall months, which is like June and July going into August. You can get, unfortunately, sideswiped or surprised by flooding just randomly out of the blue. And it's just, it sucks that we do not have, the ability to really capture those events before they happen every single time. It'd be nice to have like a 1 to 2 day warning, but we only knew it only really started to show up, a couple of hours before the event, when we knew like, oh, wow, this is going to be really bad. Or could be like really bad. Charleston was once in the direct path for Chantal. Thankfully, that's changed. Yeah, we're definitely thinking, I'm definitely leaning on more of an eastern trajectory, if anything. I'm mainly thinking, really from like Georgetown to like Shallot and Wilmington, just depending, if we get that, like if we do for some reason get like a reorganization of our low pressure system a little bit further to the east, I do think it could be a little bit more of a problem there for like Wilmington and the Myrtle Beach area, rather than a little bit further to the west near like Georgetown. Do I think it could have been warned earlier? No, unfortunately not. I mean, the thing is just like there was warning that was put out by like the SPC and the NWSs, but it was like there just wasn't, people, one, were distracted from 4th of July festivities, and two, there just wasn't a whole lot of time for broadcast media to really get the word out there. Just because you release one video, especially on like
a new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued.
Where's that at? Guess you got a new severe thunderstorm watch. It's probably going to become a little bit annoying. Has it showed up on WeatherWise yet? Once it shows up on WeatherWise, we'll go over it. I would imagine it's up there where our enhanced risk is. Will this become a hurricane? No, I don't think it's going to become a hurricane. But yeah, as I was saying, it's just people were distracted. There was some models saying that it was possible, but not every model was saying it. So there wasn't really a model consensus. And yeah, unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot you can do in that situation. You can try your best, but it takes time to get the word out. Like even on the YouTube algorithm, I can release a video right now, but it takes, a little bit of time. Even like someone like maybe like a Ryan Hall, let's say like Ryan Hall released a video, right? Within 3 hours, it probably only gets around 100,000 views, even though at the end of everything, he'll probably end up with like 300,000 to 400,000 views. And, that can be how regular media is as well. It reaches first a couple of people, and then the people have to spread the word, or, call their friends and family members and all of that stuff.
A new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued.
Help, are you the only mod right now?
A new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued.
How does a tropical storm form from the Gulf of Mexico weaken? Wait, what? This is not weakening. This is strengthening right now. And it's not in the Gulf of Mexico. It's in the Atlantic. You think so? Yeah, I think so too. I haven't seen any other mods in chat, so I do think that is accurate. That's all right. I'll keep my eye on chat. Don't feel any stress, Help. We don't have that many people watching. No, that's fine, Farah. If we had like over 1,000 viewers, that'd be a different story, but we don't. So, I am curious to see like if we have any wind making it to the coast yet.
A new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued.
Is that showing up on WeatherWise yet? Yeah, it has. Yeah, severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for some of the storms that are developing back out over here into Montana and parts of Wyoming.
A new severe thunderstorm watch.
So if you live in like Gillette, Sheridan, Miles City, Terry, Glendive, Jordan, Wolf Point, Glasgow, Billings, and Roundup, all you guys need to be weather aware, as severe weather is going to be possible out there. Again, the main threat's going to be damaging winds, but there will be some chances, small but not non-existent, are not non-existent over there. So for some tornadoes. Didn't show up on many models. I mean, these tropical systems have been showing up pretty good on the ensembles, and then it sometimes takes a while before the models really capture it pretty well, because depressions are pretty hard for models to get right because they're not really that strong. A lot of little small things can change, and then you either go to like for instance, we were talking about earlier in one of our forecasts that if this thing were to try to have tried to develop out over here in the Gulf of Mexico, and not back out over here in the Atlantic, we probably wouldn't have seen it really been able to get its act together really at all, because if we come over here to our lower level water vapor, you can see we have just a lot more drier air back over here in the Gulf, and so that was actually part of the scenario, that we could have had something try to form here and then just die, and then we just would have had some showers. But the models eventually started to agree upon the eastern solution. That became apparent about 3 days ago, and then yeah, now we have a weaker tropical storm right now, but could very well become a strong tropical storm before it makes landfall. It really just depends on how the storm deals with the smaller scale features that are around it. It's got a lot of dry air entering into it right now, and it's got dealing with a decent amount of shear as well. All right, so I want to try to put this on play and then see what it does to my camera. I'm going to watch on my phone really quick. Shoot, never mind. I don't have Wi-Fi. I'll just have to watch it after the stream. Because usually when I press play on the radar or the satellite, it'll make my camera really blurry. Like really blurry. Didn't models go from 20 to 60%, 70%? Honestly, before this thing even formed, there was a pretty good agreement between the Euro and the GFS that something was possible. But yeah, as we got closer, I mean, most models picked it up pretty well, and that's why the chances were increasing and increasing. So Patrick Panetta is live. Where is he live at? You're in Charleston. How's it looking for you guys? It looks like you guys are going to probably be on the drier portion of this storm. You can see like right now, there's just not a whole lot of really much happening over on the western side. That should change a little bit. We are expecting, as this thing comes close to landfall, to get a little bit more moisture closer to the core, which means you could have some showers and storms and some, anywhere from 40 to 50 mile per hour winds over there into Charleston, maybe some power outages, but you will definitely be on the weaker side of the storm, which is why you are not in a tropical storm warning yet. You're in a tropical storm watch. You can see most of that rain is actually on the eastern side of this storm right now. He's in Montana. Yeah, we can pull him up. Might as well, just something to look at.
So that north lobe is kind of what's looking like it's the strong.
Little storm chaser up in Montana. Patrick is there. We'll put him all the way on the top. Will it intensify when it's hitting landfall, or is it going to weaken? After landfall, I mean, it will, I mean, after and during landfall, it will be weakening. But I think all the way until then, it will be strengthening. Just really not that fast. You know, we're not really talking about, you know, a strong, fast intensification with this storm. Probably, you know, again, we're talking about a range from like 45 miles per hour to 50 miles per hour there. And if we come over here to our latest from you know, our models, let me come over to here real quick, show you what our models are all saying here in terms of intensity. You can see almost all of them just kind of keep it at this strength. They're bringing it up just a little bit stronger, with a lot of them either just falling off from here because of that dry air, or, you know, maybe it gets just a tad stronger. So we really don't have much consensus of this thing going really much over the amount of wind in which it has right now. So and you see most of our models bring this into like the South Carolina, and then kind of jettison it south of Long Island. There's only one that kind of brings it up towards the main area. Grandma is in Epsy, Montana. Let's see where that is. Epsy, Montana. Over there in the southeastern portion of Montana. Yeah, we already got storms ongoing out over there. But it looks like for Epsy, it looks like the storms will be getting there at around 6 to 7 p.m. Gonna be a little bit of a wind, or definitely some winds, some potentially significant winds. Power outages will be possible. Some large hail as well will be possible, and maybe a small chance for a tornado. If we come over here to our significant tornado parameter, you can see that it's not very elevated, so probably a higher chance there for some wind damage, and that would be my main threat with this storm right now. Will intensify hurricane force winds or tropical force winds. Probably tropical storm force winds, although we could get some wind gusts that are close to hurricane force with this storm. Yeah, as far as I know, do we have any like confirmation yet on if those children are okay or not? As far as I know, they are currently missing, but I haven't seen anything confirming that they have been taken off the missing list yet. But it has been a while though. In Georgia, where you're at, it's breezy with like 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Okay, thank you. There was 2 found alive this morning. Okay. They found 1 who passed away. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds like a decent amount of them are still missing. 24 still missing. Wow. Ugh, that's not good, man. That is not good. Because, you know, there's a certain amount of time that, you know, someone can be missing for before the worst case scenario. But I'm hoping for the best. I hope they find them. I mean, I think the flooding is slowly going down today, so hopefully we'll get some more answers on that. But that's just terrible. 25 people dead in total. Wow. That's tragic. Saw the cabins float away. Yeah. Yeah, I can't even imagine the PTSD that those kids are probably going to have. But, you know, they're just going to be affected for their entire life. Anybody that was in that flood, that's the thing. It's is not a whole lot of people knew it was coming. It just wasn't enough warning that got out in time, unfortunately. Not enough warning. It's really hard to think about. Yeah, it is. It's just like, I mean, you're just sitting there sleeping, and then before you know it, your whole life changes. When it's down in Texas, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's just not really much to say. You know, forecasters rely off models, and when the models don't really capture an event, or you know, it's hard to get it right. So I didn't forecast it. So nobody really forecasted it until, you know, right before the event happened. But even then, you know, the word just didn't get out in time. It's just stalling over the area. Yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, and there's a lot of moisture as well. These storms are just pulling it in. I mean, you see, we've had this storm that's just been kind of sitting over in this region near Burnett for a while. If we come back like 150 frames, you can kind of see how this has progressed throughout today. See, this thing just sits there for hours. It's just crazy. And then they had a flash flood emergency up there. That's a new flash flood emergency. And then further down to the south there near San Marcos, you can see another little area popped up. And that's why we have a flash flood emergency over here near Price Heights, or Priest Heights. Yeah, you can see like this rain just kind of starts and it just kind of hangs out for quite a while. And yeah, I mean, it's the Barry, which went into southern Texas, is kind of died, but it's just kind of stalled. Nothing can really, not a whole lot of flow down here in Texas. And so all that moisture is just kind of pulling up in one area. And then once the storm gets started, it doesn't really move that much. So that is why, you know, we're dealing with that crazy flood event down there. There's not a whole lot of flow to move that. So when it rains, it just kind of rains in one spot. Yeah, it's sad. It's upsetting. You know, it does just go to show, you know, we have gone very, very far in terms of our models, in terms of trying to get the warning out to people. But you know, sometimes it doesn't go far enough, and then you get a major loss of life. You know, we are pretty far ahead the rest of the world. I think we're number one when it comes to meteorological prowess. But it has its limitations still. We're still not perfect. So it just goes to show that we really shouldn't be cutting any funding. We should be continuing to increase funding so it doesn't happen to you guys. I mean, shoot, that happened in Texas this time. You know, it might happen near you later in the future. 28 feet of flooding in 45 minutes. Jeez, that is terrifying. We had St. Jude's in Camp Happy Days, cancer kids at our summer camp for the 4th of July. It was emotional for you because you lost family members to cancer. Oh, sorry about that. Literally a wall of water. We had summer camps going on. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was like you know, over 10 summer camps were like all in the path of those floods. Yeah, no, I think you make a valid point, Panson. But the thing is like, yeah, technology has gone pretty far, but I think people still do generally know that, it has its limitations. But the thing is like, coming from like somebody like you guys that like actually are tuning into this live stream because you have a general interest, right, in weather. The average person that goes out does not think like you at all. So it's hard to make that, bridge that gap from where your mind is to someone who frankly just doesn't care about the weather at all. Do you really have to be respectful of me? No. You just have to know. You just have to know when, when you snap at me, you better be ready for a snap back. Unless you just speak straight facts. I'm okay with admitting when I'm wrong. Save them from their family. Because the thing is just like people do care about weather when it's dangerous. Like, for instance, like right now, like, is this tropical storm gonna like absolutely level North Myrtle Beach or Wilmington? No. So, there's a lot of people in the population that are super desensitized. Should they be paying attention to this storm? Absolutely. Their power could go out. They should be preparing somewhat. There's gonna be rip currents on the beach. They definitely shouldn't be making any beach plans, but I guarantee you there'll be some people still on the beach with the storm approaching, even with the rip current warnings that are currently happening. But people are so desensitized, they hear tropical storm and they just think it's a big deal. And technically it's not going to be a huge deal, but it's still kind of something to keep an eye on and to make sure the latest information on. And you don't want it strengthening. I mean, if it really does get up to 50-mile-per-hour winds and 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts, there will probably be some power outages. It's not going to be like an apocalypse or anything, but that's the thing. People just don't really tune in unless it's already at that status. So there's just not really much you can do about that. There's just not a general interest in weather. Like a lot of people, they see a thunderstorm, they just go inside, and no matter how strong it is, they usually survive it every single time. And then they're just like, yeah, someone just died from the rip currents in Myrtle. Yeah. People, that's the thing. People just don't yeah. I don't know what to say to that. It's tragic, obviously. Should they have been in the water? Absolutely not. Was there probably a double red flag up? Probably so. And they ignored it, and that sucks. I wish there was some way that we could bridge that gap to where we could get that message out to somebody like that. But if they're going to be ignoring every warning sign, then, it's kind of hard to get the warning out. But that's the thing. It's just, it's tragic when you hear about it. And I find it so interesting that people care more about the story than the warning process, right? But they're not always on their toes. It's hard to do that. It's hard to do that for a bunch of different subjects, so. And to actually drag people out. Yeah. I don't know how to, make that more understandable to people, especially in today's world where you literally have to fear monger in order to get attention, to get those sort of things out, because everybody's so desensitized nowadays. Like, what was it like? I mean, like we have like school shootings nowadays and they're in the news for like a day, when like it used to be like a whole week, maybe 2-week event where people were like praying and, donating, and, the outreach is huge, and everybody comes together as a community, and the news helps spread the word for a week or two. And now it's just like in the news cycle for like a day or two before it gets replaced by something else. Like, that just shows you how desensitized we're getting to news, and there is no way to stop that. So I don't know. That does have its consequences. Hello, hello. Yeah, we already talked about the enhanced risk. We are so separated from empathy. It's scary. Yeah. I'm not even sure if that's like an empathy problem or if it's more of like a distraction problem. I don't know. Oh yeah, somebody said put a wall up on the beach to prevent people from going into the water, but that wouldn't work. Someone would probably climb over it. And that's also like I don't know, definitely would encroach some people's freedoms, I would believe, and some people would have a problem with that. Probably a can of worms that most local people or local government officials wouldn't really want to deal with, if I had to guess. How come no one covered the storm in New England? Probably because it only had like it was just some severe weather. Wasn't that intense. I think most of the severe thunderstorm warnings were like 60-mile-per-hour winds. If you're talking about the one that was just like a couple of days ago, just one of those storms. As long as you're like indoors and away from windows, you'll survive. Surfers look for storms like these. Yeah, they do. I think people are getting more and more stupid. I don't know if it's stupidity or distractions. I'm not sure. Not really sure on that. Because being overly distracted can also come across as looking stupid. Because then you're more ignorant to a lot of things, which a lot of people can see that as stupidity, even though you just don't know about it. So there is that aspect of it too. Thank you, Luis, for the 5. Thank you so much. Nephew working at the summer camp in north near Walhalla. Can you put mom's mind at ease? Walhalla, South Carolina. Let me see where that is. Yeah, you'll be all right. As far as our latest models are saying, most of the rain just goes well to the east, and honestly, I think that's a pretty darn good depiction of the storm. So I don't think there's a lot of if, ands, and buts about that. I don't think there's going to be really any flooding issues over there near Walhalla. So storm's gonna miss y'all. I think if anything, you're going to see that rain get shifted a little bit more to the east rather than to the west. So I don't think we're going to get any surprises there. Is the red 40-mile-per-hour winds? No, the reds is just looking at the convection. Then the storm is just showing cloud top temperatures. So the redder this colors and going into black, that's higher cloud tops, indicating stronger thunderstorm activity here. But our center of the storm is actually out over where this green area is. If we come over here to our visible satellite, you see a pretty pronounced swirl, and that is the center of the storm. Kind of a rain-free almost completely rain-free. Do I skateboard? I used to try. I have been able to do a kickflip. I don't skateboard anymore. I actually really like to rollerblade. Like doing tricks and stuff on that. I used to be able to like drop in on a 20-foot half, or I think it was a 15-foot half pipe actually. Do like little grinds and little 360s on the half pipe. I appreciate that, Daniel. Storms like this usually occur late summer. Yeah. And we're in the tropical season, so we're going to see a lot more of these this year, I think. I think it's going to be a pretty active year. It's already kind of above average. 3 tropical storms, in the Atlantic by early July. That's actually above average. So, will the storms weaken when they reach Oklahoma by tonight? Let me see. I don't think. Yeah. It depends on where you live in Oklahoma. If you live like far, like western Oklahoma, west of Guyman, no. But as we go, like throughout the day, like we're not really expecting much for like central Oklahoma, like at all. Over the next couple of hours. You can do a pop shove it. Nice. Very sloppy kickflip. Yeah. Those sloppy kickflips, man, they're dangerous. You land on this where the side of the board, where it's the side of the board, and you like actually try to plant your feet and you just go woo, like you're slipping on a banana. Right at the 7th of the month, yeah. Yeah, the summer has gone by pretty quickly, but at least in the southeast, we still got plenty of summer left. What is the storm chaser doing? Make sure we're live. Yeah. This is Patrick or Beyond WX on YouTube. He is hanging out at a gas station waiting for some storms near Billings, Montana. We have our enhanced risk for severe weather. Not really seeing much yet, but potentially later on, he might get a view of some. Wish you could sleep until October 1st. Is that a reference to Green Day? Wake me up when September ends. Actually just got a significant severe thunderstorm warning, or considerable. Yeah, it's this one over here. Oh wow, golf ball sized hail on this storm heading towards nowhere. From Billings, awaiting the storm currently. Yeah. And there's a little bit, some rain coming your way with some 40-mile-per-hour winds associated with it. Nothing too crazy right now, but this will be something a little bit stronger as we go into the future. Looks like you guys are just going to barely get the beginning. The worst of the severe weather, though, should be further off to the east. The last velocity scan, let me check it. This? Yeah, there's really not much rotation there. I'm not really seeing anything with too much rotation on it. Yeah. And nothing, no area is really rotating out here. Yeah. Nothing too crazy out there in terms of tornadic activity. Not really expecting to see, we might get a couple tornado warnings up there, but I'm not really expecting to see much more, like an outbreak or anything. What is the beeping sound that lets us know that there is a new severe thunderstorm warning? Oh, I wonder. So WeatherWise told me they would do something. I'm wondering if they did it. Ask them to add a new hotkey. I doubt it, but we'll check it out. Let me see. Keyboard shortcuts. Toggle warning overlays. We're looking for most recent warning. Yeah. He said it was a great idea. He'll implement it ASAP. But it's still not there. Hopefully they get that in there. That'd be super awesome. You hear that little sound, and then be able to know that you can go directly and look at the warning with a quick little hotkey. You're melting a popsicle. All right. What happened in Texas considered a bomb cyclone? No, just a stalled little mesocyclone that is in some very, very high moisture content. Not a lot of flow down there in that area, so you know you get a whole lot of rain kind of fall out of the sky in those kind of situations, especially when it doesn't move too much. Had a brief tour yesterday in Idaho, small shelf cloud in Utah yesterday. It was a little too far to chase. It also caused a little bit of a brush fire. Oh wow. Yeah, had an interesting day yesterday. Isn't the storm in Texas the remnant tropical storm Barry? Yes. It's the remnants. Technically, I mean, it's not considered that by anybody. It's more of just like a leftover circulation of it, but it's technically like the leftovers of Barry. The moisture definitely came from Barry for sure, but it's not like usually if it's like still like considered the remnants of something, they'll have it on the National Hurricane Center, but that's the thing. It's been so far dead and gone. It's not even a tropical system anymore. It's just a little area of spin that moved into Texas, brought in that extra moisture, and then it was kind of more of just of its own little MCS, mesoscale convective system. How will Raleigh, North Carolina be affected by Chantal? Where's Raleigh? I think you guys are potentially could get like up to like 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. I don't think Raleigh's going to see really too much impacts from this storm. Let me go check out our latest models for Raleigh. Yeah, maybe some wind and rain like 1 p.m. on the 6th. And then it just gets windy really from 1 a.m. on the 7th, probably through about 1 p.m., about 12 hours of some wind. I mean, you're definitely going to notice it, but it's not going to be like anything that like, it's scary. You want me on cam duty? Nah. I'm just hanging out right now. I don't think there's really much to talk about in terms of cameras out here. I think it's a little breezy near Myrtle Beach. I mean, go look at a cam in Myrtle Beach. I want to look at a cam in Myrtle Beach. Just why not, right? Let's see what's happening. Maybe we can see some storms. Thank you, Chloe, for being becoming a WIMD member. Welcome. And thank you, Jennifer, for being a member for 2 months. Thank you so much. You've never been to Texas. Hope everyone is okay. Here in New York City, we are sad about those floods. Yeah, a lot of people are. I mean, I think the whole world. I think it's become a global story. It's just one of those things that is very spooky. In the dead of night. You didn't have really much warning. Most people didn't get any warning of the potential, and then yeah, entire lives ruined unexpectedly. And yeah, they can come on so fast. Exactly. It's not one of those things that you just get like this sense that a big flood's coming. It's just, you know, it's raining, 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 raining. And then all of a sudden, everything changes in seconds. Yeah, the HRRR did, but I mean, there was no other model consensus, you know. And, you know, there was a mesoscale discussion released, but that was like 3 to 6 hours before the, I think it was like, yeah, 3 to 6 hours before the event. Which, you know, is not enough time for broadcast media to get it out there. Unfortunately, on the 4th of July, wherein everybody is distracted and probably not looking at their phones or near a TV. Just the worst case scenario, in all honesty. What was I gonna do? We asked a question. Thought I was gonna answer it. Oh, Jackson, yes. Okay, I see the questions now. Getting lots of rain right now. It's a bit windy. Okay. Yeah, let me get those cameras up. That's what I was gonna do. We should have a decent amount of South Carolina cameras near the coast, somewhat near the coast. I don't think we're really gonna see much, to be honest, but we'll see what, at least just get a view of what's happening out there. What the heck? Let me fix this. I think I copied it wrong. There we go. That should do it. I think. Yeah, there we go. Here, we actually do have some cameras kind of close to the coast. In Charleston. Yeah, this is what it looks like in Charleston. If I lived in Charleston, I would not be, and I had no idea a tropical storm was coming, I would definitely not be thinking anything of it. I wouldn't even think to check the weather based on how that looks. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it just looks sunny out there. There's probably a decent amount of folks that are just gonna get completely blindsided by even this storm, even though it's been known about for a while. There's always that possibility. Let me see where like a lot of our rain is right now with this storm. Yeah, it seems like it's like more like up here, like near North Myrtle. Yeah. Little band of rain coming into North Myrtle Beach right now. A little rainy. Nothing too crazy. Have more time over water, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what it can, like, what strength it can actually get to. Thumbnail is cool. Thank you. You had no idea it turned into a tropical storm. Yeah. Yeah. But to be fair, that was released this morning, which, you know, just does go to show, you know, even somebody that does show up, I mean, that is a member to a weather channel isn't sometimes even in the know either. You're debating on whether to go to Wilmington to give you a view and coverage, but I don't have time to get there from Virginia. If you left now, yeah, you do. I'd go. I mean, it's gonna hit. I mean, you have to drive throughout the night, but I think you can make it. And there's not gonna really be that many people live out over there. I think you're only gonna be competing with like Pagey Tornado. So it'd be a good little storm chasing experience. Because you get right on that beach. You get to see that storm surge and 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Pretty high shear values. Yeah, there's not only just the shear, there's also some dry air making its way into the storm right now. You see there's a lot of dry air on the eastern side, and our center of circulation is right there. There's a lot of shear, also a lot of dry air as well, impacting the storm right now, which is why a lot, if we look at our visible satellite, You can see our circulation is way over here. There's like no convection near the center of circulation right now. All that convection is more off to the east. And so that's mainly because we have that dry air, and then in combination with the shear, which is pushing those thunderstorms more off to the eastern portion of our storm. So that's probably where most of our rain is going to be, off on the eastern side, as it approaches up towards like areas like Wilmington, over there near Myrtle Beach as well. Probably where some of our heaviest rain will be out of this storm. You can also see that's where some of our coldest cloud tops are, over here on the eastern side of the storm as well. Not really sure. I know the lower level circulation is back over in this area. I'm not sure if we've had, you know, much investigation in the mid levels of this little thing. A lot of people have been saying that a new circulation might develop back over here, that there might be a mid level circulation, but I haven't really seen much evidence other than speculation on that. So I'm not sure. It does look like we do have what appears to be the beginnings of a shelf cloud trying to come through Billings, Montana. Tonight for landfall, it just depends on when it makes landfall. I might go live again tonight. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, I'm not doing anything today. Just want to say hi. Well, hello. Thank you for popping in. I want to check back over here really quick, see how this is progressing. Yeah, still not a whole lot of stuff happening out over here yet. Does seem like our winds are getting stronger though. Like we just had that core of the winds come through Billings. And probably about to get a severe thunderstorm warning on that. Probably the first one associated with this line. This will be our main wind threat of the day out over here in eastern Montana, southeastern Montana there. Also got quite the storm back over here as well near Zortman. Looks like, I'm not sure if they're keeping it this severe thunderstorm warning on this or if they're extending it as a special weather statement. It's kind of hard to tell. Strong winds. Yeah. I mean, like really, like, you know, if you live like anywhere near like Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, near Charlotte, you know, Cure Beach, Oak Island, Southport, you know, I'd be preparing for potentially up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Look at this view. Thank you, Zachary. That's what it's there for. Nice and relaxing. Just kind of like a cool little vibe, you know. I personally think that, you know, everybody's desensitized to everything, and I kind of keep the vibe super calm to try to resensitize people, but I don't know if it's even possible, but that's my goal. In the northeast quadrant. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. We come over to our latest. Get these things out of the way here. Our latest Hurricane Hunter plane data that came through not too long ago. There was a reading of 50 knots in the northeastern quadrant. It's a little bit elevated there. The estimated surface wind speeds were like 48 knots, 47 to 48 knots, which is, you know, I think like That's near 50 miles per hour. Let me do like a conversion. Not to mph. Horrible at converting that in my head. I need to get better. Well, that was at 48. Yeah, it was about 55 miles per hour there. In the northeastern quadrant when we had that Hurricane Hunter plane come through. So that's not weak. That's close to 60. So, I mean, that's going to be enough. Again, this thing is expected to strengthen. I mean, we are still seeing some pretty decent cloud tops. I would not be surprised if this was a 60 mile per hour tropical storm as it made landfall. With the strongest winds being in the northeast quadrant. And then again, that's going to be coming into like Myrtle Beach and Wilmington. So, I mean, it's not going to, if you don't like severe thunderstorms, you're not going to like this storm. And it's going to be like a severe thunderstorm warning that lasts for a couple of hours. Lots of heavy rain, potential for some flooding, and definitely some potential for some power outages. I can check Aurora, Colorado, sure. For our storms later. Isn't that like near Denver? Where is Aurora? We've covered Aurora before. Yeah, it's like at eastern Denver. Yeah, it could be some storms nearby you. Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be pretty hit or miss for you. Storms will probably form more to your east, but there could be some showers and some thunderstorms out over there. Let's see what's happening right now. Yeah, some showers and thunderstorms are developing. It looks like they might develop before Aurora. They are kind of already developing just off of the mountainous region there. So yeah, I would be watching out for some capabilities there for some severe weather. You guys are in a little bit of a hail, little damaging wind threat. You're not in a tornado threat though, so it's just one of those kind of storms where you need to be indoors and away from windows. And in case some people don't know, we do have an enhanced risk out over here for parts of Montana, Wyoming, going into South Dakota, for Buffalo, Spearfish, Rapid City, Custer, Sundance, Broadus, Ekalaka, lame deer. What? Dang, bro. Every single deer that walks into this town getting clowned on. Over there near Forsyth and Colstrip as well. I'll need to be weather aware. The main risk with that is going to be damaging winds, significant damaging winds possible, and hail. Not really talking about much of a tornado threat today. A little bit of a 2% tornado threat in this area. So I wouldn't completely rule it out. It'll be more like a little briefer, weaker QLCS type tornadoes, most likely, if we do get anything. Lame deer, bro. Imagine you're a deer that lives in that city, just disrespected constantly whenever anybody exists there. Anybody says anything about lame deer while a deer is nearby, turning them into sad deer. Are there any threats for Albany, Louisiana? Not really. I think they're for you guys. Let me bring up the categorical risks here. Yeah, it's mainly just like, thunderstorms. Some thunderstorm chances, little pop-up, your typical summer non-severe thunderstorm activity. Could eventually, like every now and then, get a little thunderstorm, but not really time out much. How will Jackson, North Carolina be? Yeah, we can look at our latest models for Jackson. Yeah, Jackson's all the way up there. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty hit or miss. I'm really not expecting much. It will get windy, probably like by 7 a.m. on the 7th. And then that wind should die down by the time we get to around 7 p.m. But again, we're really not talking about anything super elevated, maybe 30 mile per hour winds. So again, not talking about a big flood threat, not talking about a big damaging wind threat or anything. So I really don't think we're going to see much. up there. I would be like, you know, aware somewhat, but you know, again, it's not going to really ruin your day. And thank you, Autumn, for the $2. Thank you so much. What's the tornado risk in Chapel Hill, North Carolina? Right now, it's 0. And I expect that to continue. I'm not really seeing this thing really bring much vorticity, really much further inland, other than I think the only areas where we're going to be seeing a tornado risk is going to be from like Myrtle Beach to over to Jacksonville. And then once this thing starts to dissipate into a tropical depression, we should see that tornado risk drop quite a bit. What if this tropical storm gets to 300-mile-per-hour winds? I don't think it's gonna do that, so not even gonna answer that question. Let me make sure it's current. There we go. Greensboro. Where is Greensboro, North Carolina? Isn't that like back up here? Yeah. I mean, maybe some heavier rain, but again, not really talking about much up there. Yeah, definitely some heavier rain is possible near Greensboro. A couple of bouts of that, one maybe at around 4 a.m. on the 6th, and by 1 p.m. on the 6th could get another around. You guys actually might be getting some of the heavier rain out of this storm, believe it or not, if this model is correct. But again, there are models that just kind of dry this storm out as it makes landfall. Like if we come over here to the HMON model, kind of push this inland. Oh, no, I mean, this one also, yeah, there's actually some pretty good agreement on some heavier rain for Greensboro, you know, on the 6th. This one has it coming in like 10 a.m. through around 4 to around 4 p.m. And then we get some heavier winds, probably around like 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts near Greensboro as we move, later into the night, probably starting at around like 4, around 4 p.m. ending at around 10 p.m. Not really talking about any impacts for Brunswick. This is going to go north of you guys. Charlotte. Okay. So we're getting a lot of model questions. So we'll keep it on the models for a little bit. For Charlotte. Yeah. Could be some heavy rain starting at around 4 a.m. on the 6th. And then, your winds are going to the rain's probably going to stop sometime at around like 1 to 4 p.m. And then, the strongest winds will probably pull up, probably like 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts by the time we get to around 4 through about 1 a.m. And that kind of moves out. So, yeah, some heavier rain there, maybe a small chance for some flooding there as well. I would keep an eye on that. Bath, North Carolina. Oh, you're over there. Yeah, it looks like, relatively dry. I think both models indicate that, so I'm not really expecting that to change. Relatively dry, maybe some 10 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts, but that's about it. Delmarva. What state is that? Grandy? Let me see. That's North Carolina. Yeah, same thing for Grandy. Probably going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if you got some like scattered, like light rain, but we're not talking about really anything that heavy. Maybe on the 7th, just to your north could be some thunderstorms. If that's a little bit further south, you might see some thunderstorms by around 7 p.m. on the 7th. But again, those are not going to be particularly intense, and they're really not going to last that long either. Wouldn't rule out like 10 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts. Oh, wow. Another pretty cool view from our storm chaser here, Patrick. He's in Huntley, Montana. He's getting back out ahead of this thing. You can see there's the leading edge of that thunderstorm that just passed through Billings, Montana. Seems to be running away from the convection. Let me see. I guess we could go visible. Bring this frames back to 50 frames. Yeah, it kind of does look like that. It's more of that the circulation itself is stationary. It's really not moving that much. And you can see our convection is just getting blown further and further to the east. Which is interesting, as you know, this will probably be our most impactful part of the storm. So I really wouldn't hyper focus too much on where this thing is making landfall, rather than, you know, really paying attention to where our coldest cloud tops are and where most of our thunderstorm activity is. It's like a little, like a little emoji, and like an eye there, a little nose. It's become a hurricane. I think it's got a really low chance of becoming a hurricane, but definitely could, get some hurricane force wind gusts. If this actually does become a tropical storm with about 60 to 65 mile per hour winds as it makes it into the coast, you could definitely get some hurricane force wind gusts every now and then. Delmarva is in the peninsula with Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Virginia? There is no place. Let me just search it. Delmarva. I don't know. It's not a town or city. It's not a city? Oh. Well, there's not really an area where, you know, Virginia, Delaware, and Maryland overlap. So, what cities are in Delmarva? What's the wind shear looking like in the lower levels in this area? You said in the lower levels? Actually, a good way to look at that is the plane data, because they were flying, I think, in the lower levels. I don't know how high up they were, though. Let me take that off, bring this up. Yeah, flight level. Let's see. They were... What was the altitude? Yeah, they were pretty low. Yeah, they probably wouldn't have captured that too well. I mean, I guess we just check a model on that. A model run. Actually, no, we can do mesoscale analysis maybe. I think the mesoscale analysis should be capturing or should be producing data near this area. So let me see if I can get a view of that. Yeah, okay. We'll have to go to here, and I'll have to get this set up really quick. Oh, it's already set up. Nice. Move that over to there. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, lower level shear, 850 millibars. It's not really a whole lot impacted the storm. I think the main areas that we look at for are higher and aloft. Again, the 250 millibar area, decent out there. Really not. Wind shear's not overly strong, as far as I can tell. Like 20 knots of wind shear, which is enough, you know, to be honest. I mean, you really don't need that much wind shear in the upper levels to disrupt a tropical system's ability to strengthen. You like anything really above like 15 knots is going to be kind of destructive, especially to a weaker system. I think shear in the mesoscale analysis would be contaminated by those winds from the cyclone itself. Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. typically you want to look like well above storm in 250 millibar. It's nice to be able to, capture all of it at once from the 200 millibar all the way down to the 850 millibar. But I typically look at like 500 millibar to 200 millibar winds, and they're around like 15 to 20 knots, which is enough. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. But I don't think they have any like. I'm trying to remember what website? There's like who was it? You used to have this website that I used to go to that had a map that like takes out that contamination. Who was it? Was it Mike's weather page? I'll see if I can find it, but yeah, sheer map. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's around 5 knots. It's really actually in a pretty favorable shear environment, according to this map. Or some strengthening. But obviously not. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the wind shear is affecting the storm. So I'm not sure how accurate that map is. Lagging? Is the stream lagging for anybody else? Okay, yeah, then that's probably your internet there. Next Hurricane Hunter flight is scheduled to depart at 5:45 p.m. Okay. Yeah, we probably won't be live all the way into there, but I might do like another update later on tonight, maybe, to go over the data that X gets. So once that Hurricane Hunter plane is done, we'll probably get a new update from the National Hurricane Center. So we'll probably do like I don't know, like a 7 p.m. update. I don't have much information on the Texas flooding. I know that we still have a lot of people missing, especially some children at a summer camp. Some of them have been rescued. Some of them are still missing. There's a flash flood emergency north and east of Austin, or north and west of Austin near Burnett. Landfall of Chantal tomorrow. Well, if it makes landfall at 1 a.m., I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. I'll think about it. And if y'all want me to go live, I might. Am I hydrating? Yeah, I am. I got water. Yeah, I mean, some of our weather models are saying it could make landfall like 1 a.m. At 7 a.m., I usually don't wake up. It's just making landfall at a time that my sleep schedule is not tuned to right now. So we'll see. But all right, everybody, I think that that's going to conclude our update, at least for today's update. We'll be back on after either when that plane is in the storm or after it's done with the storm. We'll go over the new data there and try to figure out what the next national hurricane update will be. But I think we've gone over pretty much all the information that we have on this storm. Again, we are expecting landfall overnight, potentially into the morning hours tomorrow. So just make sure you're weather aware. We still have strong convection. I still believe that we could be dealing with a tropical storm with some, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. That's kind of like where my head is at right now. Yeah, I'll consider the late night stream. We'll see. Well, I've been resting my vocals a lot, and they feel really good. They feel really good. I haven't had any problems with this stream. And so, yeah, well, I'll consider it. If we're dealing with like a 60 to 70 mile per hour or like a 60 mile per hour tropical windstorm, I might push my sleep schedule. But the thing is like if it's making landfall at 1 a.m., it's going to be having impacts all the way to like 4 a.m. and the peak of its impacts. And I just don't know if I want to do a stream from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. So I'm considering it, but I'll definitely be doing an update, another update on this storm, probably another live stream tonight. So update: rescuers search for over 20 girls. Yeah. That's the last thing I've heard about it too. People are still searching for those girls. I really hope they find them. Yeah, 15 to 20 knots. I mean, that can be, especially when the system isn't super organized and there's a lot of dry air around. It can't hurt it. But I mean, according to that little graphic I just showed, it's only dealing with about 5 to 10 knots right now. So it's nothing too crazy. It is keeping that convection off to the east, but theoretically speaking, we should eventually start to see some convection closer to the center because it still seems theoretically possible. But all right, everybody. Yeah, and I'll try to keep my ears out for any new news out over there. If I hear anything or see anything in Texas that we can report, I'll let you guys know that as well. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and I will see you guys later on tonight for another update. See you later. Peace. Oh wait, let's raid Patrick. All right, sending you all over there now. Make sure you're giving him a like and subscribe. He'll be out there covering the storms there in Montana. So check it out if you guys are, especially if you live over there. Yeah, see you all in a little bit.